Why studying generals will make you more money as a coach. In this video, I'll exactly break down why you need something called creative strategy and why in business or in coaching, as you're competing against other humans in their little empires, how you can apply that into your own business. So let's start off with, the big three, as people call them. We have Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Genghis Khan. All these three people have one thing common, and they're known as the greatest generals of all time. Their strategies are still used to this day, and the entire Roman Empire was built on the strategies that Alexander built. And then Napoleon also took his kind of way with those strategies, and also Genghis Khan. Now, why do these people matter? And you might be thinking, oh, we're living in this modern time. It's not needed. I'm not going to chop people up. Like, what are you even talking about? You need to understand that I work with 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs, like high level people, and they're completely different to the people that you see. Like, when people give you all this advice of like, go ahead and just like, like there's these solo entrepreneurs which make like 20 grand a month, but people that are making 300, 400, 500 grand a month, or even like six or almost close to like 7 figures a month. The main difference is that these people just operate in a different way. What they use and what these three people used is something called creative strategy. Now, creative strategy is something which all of us can use in our day to day life. And it is most applicable to us at this day and age because we're all in competition. The world is hyper competitive. But it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you're competing against other people, especially if you're in info industry, it's super competitive. But you need to understand this that this creative strategy is something you use when you're small or even when you're massive. So what creative strategy does is that when you're fighting, or let me put it in more like modern terms, when you're conducting your business, you need to come up with ways and strategies that will take your business to the next level. And why is that? Why do you need that? And like, why is it super important? Because we in the start are small. Like, let's look at this. This is the big circle. This is a big game. We're like this in the game. And when you're this small in the game, you need to come up with ways to tackle these big forces. Because all these big forces, what they're trying to do, all these people, they're trying to crush you down in some sense. It is competitive because and I don't know what stage you are. If you're making 10 to 20K a month, probably you are if you watch my videos. You don't understand. And because I have worked with these guys giving me commands. They operate on a different level. They're trying to scale their company in so many unique ways. The testing process is so fast, and then the entirety of the business is just so different than what we do. And as you go up and up and up, like when, let's say, McKinsey's, right? Like those are the biggest consulting business in the world. You look at those people and they're just insanely cracked. But they are, why they are $1 billion companies, because the way that they test and do is almost like psychopathic. And why is that? Now, I'm not demonizing these people. Maybe they're super good people. They make people a lot of money. But the issue is that these people are outpacing you in every single metric. They have more staff, more money, more resources, more connections. So what you can do as someone who's small is look through the war. Don't fight it like an idiot. Don't fight it like, just like go head and just clash and then see the numbers play out. What you need to do is you need to become creative. All these three people, and you would be surprised. Alexander, when he was trying to conquer Persia, he had like half and half. Like his army was like 50,000, like 500K people maximum. And the Persian Empire was millions of soldiers. How do you think he conquered that? He didn't conquer by, like going straight on and fighting them. He conquered little towns, little cities by diplomatically talking. He conquered the known world by talking and also using his military strategies. So, and also the way that he strategized was absolutely insane. Most people in war at that time would just fight like this head on. What Alexander did, he would like build this sort of like this treacherous. There are spears which they used to use like 8 feet long, and they would penetrate the entire forces. And he used everything: light infantry, heavy infantry, strong soldiers, weak soldiers, you can name it. The armory was light. There was like such a difference. So even the way that he fought was so creative that the enemies was perplexed. So even if they had so many resources and so much money, they got taken out because these people were just as ferocious. They were getting attacked here, 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 here. One soldier is turned this way, the other one is turned that way, and the one is facing them front end, and then also you're getting archered, like you're gone. And same that Napoleon did. He fought many wars when he had like literally nothing. Genghis Khan, he married into a bunch of families trying to get, their empires that way. He married just a bunch of women rather than find them straight on again and again. He was starved. So what he would do, and what he was like kind of famous for, is that outside the walls of any like big city, there he would camp, and he would just let the people starve. Like they couldn't go out. He would just murder all the people trying to get the food, water, whatever it is. He would cut their supplies out and just starve the city and then burn it. So that was his sort of strategies. So all these people, they didn't fight head on. This is what people don't understand. These people, they saw their enemy and they were like, okay, what do we do here? Now, I'm not saying McKinsey is your enemy. You shouldn't even make one. But I'm seeing is that if you have someone bigger in your industry, or if you have someone making a lot of plays and you're just like, how do I beat these people? You need to see the weaknesses and exploit the enemy. If you have someone who has a weak personal branding, you entice them. You say them, oh, he doesn't have any authority. He's a authentic person. He's a piece of shit. Like you do these things. Why do you do that? Because you're exploiting his weaknesses, and that's where you can win. If let's say there are 100 people, right? They're in the. Let me just try a little bit better. Let's say there are 100 people in your similar niche and industry. How do you beat these people? Rather than outreaching and doing the same thing and doing like everybody, you see their weaknesses. Okay, they don't want to show their faces. They don't want to talk like, they're not charismatic. They can't talk. They're like super grimy, or they're afraid what people think. So what do? You start making content. You start producing content at a greater quality than these people. So what happens is that all these people, they fade away, and boom. Same thing as AI doing with all these like wipe code startups. So what people are doing is that they're just beating people in execution. There are these massive VC companies, billions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're like, let's build this massive AI is going to change the world and do that. And then we have one kid sitting in college, and he's like, he just tested 50 things, and whatever hit struck them through and destroyed them completely. You see the strategy? He understood that all these big companies have so much staff, they have so much like, they focus on the nitty-gritty details. How do I beat them? He beat them with speed, execution. So you need to exploit the industry that you have now. In our industry as info coaches and coaches, what people do mostly is that they scale endlessly because it's easy to scale. And there's like, not if you're running ads only, like then there's like a money issue or a cash flow issue. It's not a cash reserve business. You don't need to put money in to get money out of the business. You just put the human labor. So what do? You start tracking stuff. Now, why do you track? You track because most people don't track. Why? Because they just scale endlessly. What you do, you become efficient at what you're doing. So let's say this for an example. Here's like one of my clients. Now, this entire process was done like automatically. Now, what do I mean automatically? There was no setter. There was zero setters booking the call. It's all automated. That's what I do. That's what I'm building these systems for. And the cancellation and all the free funneling, all this stuff. What did it do? It got to the point where he would just hop on calls to close people, and the rest of the people that were unqualified would go to his Discord group or the free community. I have one guy that runs a WAP for $75 a month, and there people automatically go to his WAP and he's making MRR, and he's literally, he doesn't touch it. He may like write once a month or something, and that's it. Same scenario here with the other guy that we have here. 130 call books, 35 complete, 7 were unqualified people. What happens? Straight to the free community. Boom. And how did we do this? Because we tracked. And the tracking was done what? Again, automatically. So we took the data, we took all these. Now imagine losing 77 calls. Like people, like, first of all, people don't even book that many calls. We kind of like narrowed down the content, but 155. If you were a normal coach, you would have lost it. You would have been like, oh, just run ads, run organic. Come on, CTA. And all these people, you would have to do another launch for low ticket. We didn't. Why? Because we have already on the back end everything implemented. We were efficient with our leads. We squeezed every bit of it. Boom. So what happened? And everything was tracked. Like I said, one of our tracking sheets gives us like everything. It's like total calls, how many calls booked, the closing rate, show up rate, everything. So we were like tracking also what type of better content are we putting out that's yielding better results on the sales side of things. So everything is interconnected. This is where we're winning. We're efficient. We're making the time to focus on the front end, which is the content, which is the marketing. And then on our back end, the sales is just super easy to do because the sales is like, okay, whoever's hopping on have money, and they want to buy. They know you because they're getting warm, they're getting their YouTube videos sent. So by the end of they hop on the call, it's an easy close, 35, 45 minutes maximum, or like a two call close, whatever it is. So you do that. So we're beating the market. You guys spend money on ads. You're spending this. You will do another launch for the low ticket. We're sitting here. We're like, okay, we have all these people on this organic format. What do we use and how do we come up with a plan that would just beat them? And the entirety of beating them was efficiency. And this leads to, and again, this is our live analysis data. So like, I'm not BSing. So like, number of leads, 7. Leads that come from the quiz funnel, 2. Leads that come from the DM, 3. Leads come from both, 2. Tracking every single percentage, like lead distribution, where the leads are coming from. Are they coming from our quiz funnel post that we're doing? Is it coming from our DM post that we're doing? How many numbers do the leads have? Everything like lead score, who is winning, what metric is winning? Should we stop the quiz funnel? Should we not? So we're tracking everything. Here, I don't know if I can show the names, but maybe I can. But you can kind of look in here. I'll just list specific because this has the names of people. But you can see DM, quiz funnel, responded, book, everything. And this is all automatic again. No VA, nothing. Everything is automated. So we're just focusing on efficiency. This is the efficiency trifecta. And we're using this because we're like, what does the market do? The market runs a bunch of ads or a bunch of organic content. Then they just like take hundreds and hundreds of people, they cancel their calls because it's B2C, and this is for the B2C market. And then they close a couple of calls, and then they have multiple setters, multiple closers. I'm like, okay, what if we automate the entire thing and just the closing process is done human by the owner itself? The change in the closing rate and the impact it makes is absolutely insane, because people are talking to the founder. Most people do not do that in B2C. They're just tired of just having a setter, then they know it's a closer, then it's this. Our guy can close calls himself. Why? Why is that? Because he has the time, because everything is automated. So we took this angle, and I efficiently did it because I was a operational sales management, and I looked at the entire space. I was like, okay, we have 7 setters, 3 closers, 2 managers. It's like 11 people in the team. Why are they even here for? And most of them weren't doing anything. The managers didn't do shit. It's all jargon. It's all like, hey, motivate the team or like teach them a little bit. At the end of the day, appointment setting, if you're super good at it, you don't copy paste, or you have frameworks that you copy paste at maximum and then you just use your brain. So not really worth it. But like, I just took like 30 to 40% of the cost of every single month of scale from that person and replaced it with like a one-time monthly charge and a really small retainer. That's it. Boom. What does it do? It just if we're just making money. Here's it is. 15. This was, by the way, made in like, I think it was like a 1.5 weeks. This was made in 1.5 meek, $15,000 made in 1.5 meek. We're just getting paid. Like, here are the bills. Boom, 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 boom. These are all the payments from the WAP coming in, and boom. How did we do it? Again, we saw the market. I saw the market, to be honest, and I was like, okay, what's missing? Missing is that the sales process is such a big famous. It's such a big hassle. All these people are trying to like basically rip you off with so many funnels, so many like roles and all this stuff. When I was like setting myself, I didn't have anybody. The owner was like just set. I'm like, fine, and it works. But all these people are like, no, you need a setter manager. You need this. I know one guy that I think he made 150K a month, and like his margins were like what? He made like 20K. I would much rather make 20K alone than I did do 150K. And this is what they do. We made this client 150K, but the profit is 20. What even is that? You're running an e-commerce business at this point, and e-commerce it's scalable. It's like there's no scale, there's no exit, there's nothing, and you're taking like bad factors from a business and applying it to the good factors of the business, and just making this entire place into a crap hole. Like it breaks my heart how many of these people are just sitting there having all these like asinine roles, not really focusing on the client, and they're just like sitting there and it's like, oh, we help clients with this, we help clients with that. It's all BS. 95% of it is all BS. You don't need a setter manager. You don't need a closer manager. You need closers. You need setters. You need yourself. You need like 4 or 5 people you're working with, and you're good. If you have more than 4 people that you're working with, and if you're not making over 150K a month, you are doing something wrong. And if you're making 50 grand a month, it should be you, one guy, and one VA. That's it. That is your entire team. You should be closing. You should be sitting there and getting more knowledge about the clients, about your ICP profile. But this is absolutely, that's why I say all of these people, the reason why we remember them was not because they were some genius, was not because they, had the biggest army, they had the biggest guns. What they did was they started small and then did something impossible. That's what you guys need to strive for. Like, you should look at these people and get inspired. Like, I do get inspired. I'm like, wait a second, this guy was nothing. Alexander came from like a family of, like, of course Philip the King was, his father was great, but like their entire lineage was just like farmers and like really small king. Napoleon was like, he came from a good family, but like he was just studying. Temujin, like, he didn't have a father, which was Genghis Khan. So like all these people come from the lowliest places and they go to the highest lows of the game. Why? Because they're creative, because they're willing to do one thing. They just want to win. And if you want to win bad enough, you find ways. If you want to win the glorious way, you find something. You find the creative angles, you find everything that will work, and in the end, you will win. So find these angles, find what's wrong with the market, find what's wrong with in your business. And if you want to like do what we do, just book a call with me. It's down there in the comments. And if I can't help you, I will not sell to you. I don't want to sell to you if you like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I make $0. It's a bad deal is worse than no deals. Like, literally, like, do not take a deal which you cannot like fulfill. Do not take a deal which you don't feel like you can't do it, because these guys didn't take the battle they would lose. Alexander didn't go front in front. He changed his entire way. He saw his enemy. I think Miyotoshi Musashi, if I'm not butchering his name, the Book of Five Rings, he did the same thing. Anytime, okay, there's this guy who has this massive sword and he kills people with this sword. What he would do? He came in with a small sword or a wooden, I think it was a wooden stick, to just baffle him. He's like, how the hell is he going to fight with a wooden stick? The guy was just perplexed. What happened? He was perplexed. He played mind games and he killed the guy. So it's all looking at your enemy and exploiting their weaknesses. It's all looking at your market and seeing, okay, what is missing and what can be exploited where I can win. You need to work with people that understand these concepts more than you, or find it yourself. That's the entirety of this video. I'll make more of these because I think they're better than like 90% of the content out there, because they give you the actual mental frames to scale and become like one of the best in the game. Bye.